So the next person on stage is Teleky. He is the COO of VOW Currency, and he brings stability into the visions. He's great. He's tall. He's like really tall. Come on stage, Teleky.
Is certainly a tough act to follow. He does have that amazing energy that I think does galvanize and bring everybody together. And unfortunately, my topic won't be as sexy, but it will be very informative, which is really my job. I've been looking so forward to this event for weeks. I hope you have been as well. Because without sounding psychopathic, one of my favorite things to do is to talk about VOW to people. And they may think I am some sort of a broken record, but I'm so passionate about it, right? And there's a message to be told to you today, and it's that the future of money is promising. Because to promise is to vow, okay? That's a little play on words, but what it really means, what we mean to say about this expression is we feel so passionately that VOW truly is the future. And that's why everyone's saying we're coming here from as far away from Australia, India, everywhere, because we want to tell you why that is. Okay? It is our job to explain to you why we are so passionate, not with statements, but with facts. Okay? And before we get into what we have been doing the last couple of years to create the building blocks of this ecosystem, it is my job to tell you how we are doing it, to cover the basics. And that entails, everything is broken down effectively into 3 sections. And I'm going to be talking to you about VOW and V currencies, which are the 2 tokens in the ecosystem. Then the main pillars in the ecosystem, which are the consumers and the merchants. And then we will basically discuss decentralized issuance, acceptance, and backstop. These are the fundamentals of the ecosystem, and it's my job to explain to you in as simplistic terms, because I understand there is a variable in terms of knowledge in the ecosystem, in this audience, so you can understand what really is the driver within this project. So there are 2 token types, VOW, and both of them, of course, are on the Ethereum network, but just as a way of an analogy, so you understand there's a relationship between the 2, please just think of VOW as a piece of gold, like a gold bar. And you need to buy a piece of this gold bar to turn it into gold coins so they can circulate within the ecosystem. That's just an analogy to illustrate there's a relationship between the 2 coins. Now let's look at the properties. VOW is pre-mined, meaning it doesn't need to be mined to come into existence. And how many VOW is there? At inception, there was 1.14 billion. But this number is gradually reducing due to a factor called burn. And I'll speak about burn briefly in a few minutes. And it's also free-floating, okay? Because it's an asset listed on exchanges, meaning its price is controlled by supply and demand, okay? And some of you who are more familiar with the project know and understand which exchanges we are on, the decentralized and centralized exchanges. Now let's look at V currencies. Remember the analogy? VOW is the gold, and V currencies are the gold coins. And they're effectively issued. In order for you to issue V currencies, you need to buy the gold. And just a little bit of technical detail. It's not a merchant who issues it. It's a smart contract who issues it, and it's distributed on behalf of the merchant. Okay, for some of the crypto nerds in here, I'm sure there's more than one. And I'm going to use the expression of the merchant issuing it. That's just for simplicity's sake. That's what's really happening in the background. And how many V currencies are there? How many V dollars, V euros can even there be? Well, it's only limited by the demand on VOW, because it's made from VOW, okay? And of course, we can't run out of VOW with the same rationality that we can't run out of Bitcoin. Because the more demand that is exhibited on Bitcoin, all it simply does is its price appreciates, okay? Which is, of course, good news for VOW holders. And another very unique aspect of it, which we'll get into later, that the value and the price of V currencies are fixed when you spend them, okay? So if you have a V dollar or a V euro and you go and spend it at a merchant, how much is it worth? €1 or $1, depending on which country you are in. An additional fact is when you do spend one of these V currencies, 1.6% of its fixed value is permanently destroyed. And this destruction is what I referred to previously as burn. And all this burn accumulates, and through our tokenomic system model, it ends up reducing the 1.14 billion VOW, which is, of course, again, good news for VOW holders. Great. So now we've covered some of the basic properties. Let's also understand what are these two tokens for, okay? What are they used for within the ecosystem? The VOW on the left-hand side there, for governance and staking. As Vish explained, for some people, this expression, decentralization, is maybe a throwaway expression. For us, we're truly 100% dedicated to making sure that every aspect of our ecosystem is decentralized as possible, because then effectively you're disinfecting it from ego. Yeah? This is something we put our life behind, and we need to protect it from everybody, including ourselves. Make sense? So if you make something completely democratic as you can, it doesn't happen overnight, it's a very difficult process, but we are on this journey, and of course we are all together on this journey now. And how does that really look like in practice? 1 VOW equals 1 vote for all governance-related issues within the ecosystem. Okay. How about the staking, right? You remember the analogy that VOW is the gold and the V currencies are the gold coins? Whenever a merchant wants to issue, let's say, 1 V euro, they must buy the gold first. But how much gold must they buy? How much gold must they buy? 20%. If a merchant wants to create 1 V euro to circulate in the ecosystem, they go to the open market, buy 20 cents of euro of VOW, stake it in the ecosystem, they issue the V euro, and now they accept it back as a payment. We'll cover this as well. But when they accept it back, they can have their stake back. That's how that works. So very simply, VOW is the token of the ecosystem that you must own to participate as an issuer or in terms of governance issues. Quickly, V currencies that can be issued, I'll repeat it just so it sinks in. You can of course issue V currencies and the merchant vow to accept them back. That's where the name comes from, because when a merchant issues it, they have a liability to the ecosystem and they vow or promise to accept it back. That is the origin of the name. So therefore, simply V currencies are the stable value currency of the ecosystem to facilitate commercial activity. Next. So, therefore, if we can distill what I've just said down into the next step is, if you look at on a per currency basis, each unit of V currency is backed by 120%. If a merchant issues V dollars, they're backed as they have a guaranteed acceptance as a discount against their goods and services, which are also priced in dollars. So if a merchant gives you 1 V euro, you can spend it as a euro discount against the goods and services they have. And those will never diverge, because this is euros and that's also euros. Okay. And so that's 100% in terms of collateralization. And the plus 20% is the VOW. So it's 120% in terms of backing. Okay? So therefore, if you can think of the VOW, it serves as a limit, so there's no endless issuance from a merchant. They have to buy VOW in the open market, and it serves the purpose of a distributed, decentralized reserve currency of this V economy. That's the function that it performs. Another very important thing to understand, because there's so many innovations that we're bombarding you with, all the intellectual sort of a time invested into this project, not just by Bishop and myself, but a whole lot of people, is thinking about the legal status of this currency, okay? Because there's a lot of headwind coming for the crypto market with regards to stablecoins and everything else. What is a V currency? It is certainly not e-money, it is not a stablecoin, because there's a central party to guarantee its value. Nothing like this exists within our ecosystem. It is a tokenized discount voucher. Okay, I'll tell you exactly where it derives its value from in terms of the decentralized backing in a few slides. But it's very important that all of you understand that it's a different class. We don't try to step onto the territory of the banks. That's not where we want to go. So, next. The ecosystem, okay? Two things, there's multiple pillars in the ecosystem. I'm going to talk about the main ones, which are the consumers and the merchants, because those are the drivers of it. Everything else is ancillary or layered on top. So when it comes to the consumers, who is our consumer? Who's interested in the VOW ecosystem to join, to be a part of this whole system? Anybody who wants to save money, right? And I would submit to you, that's a very wide demographic, particularly in today's environment. Supply chain breakdowns. We have armed conflict not too far from here. And the consequences of all of these things and everything that's happening within the world of banking, and very scary things I don't want to get into too deeply, but it's manifesting itself in our lives in terms of inflation. We've heard the talking heads in the TV, it's transitory, it's going to come back, oh really? Well, how come it's still here? And now you're hearing it's going to be more persistent, maybe it'll get worse. So in terms of the timing of this solution, it could be more perfect. Of course, this isn't due to our omnipotent knowledge, but it's due to the luck and circumstance, but it's great that if we do this right, we can help a lot of people. So what's a customer's journey? All they need to do, you will understand through some of the other speakers, that there are many multiple apps who are all within the VOW ecosystem where consumers can join. And when they join, all they need to do is basically register a bank card. And with this bank card, they will start to mine V currencies for free. Okay? So that's their journey. They don't even need to have a smartphone with them. They register 5 or 10 bank cards, and now they're mining V currencies into existence. And why is this important? Because this is the technology that we have built and acquired. It's because we can deliver our crypto to consumers in a zero crypto knowledge way, frictionless at scale. At scale. If you depend on a business to tell one guy to do it, doesn't work. So we're cooperating with the existing financial system to distribute this currency through the existing technologies. So who is it? Oh yeah, of course. And what's the pitch to the customer? What do we say to a customer? Do you have a bank card? Who here has a bank card? Or a show of hands? Right, everybody. Unless maybe you came from a time machine, but then you must be very surprised at this fantastic event. Of course you have a bank card. Therefore, everybody here could begin to mine V currencies into existence. A no-brainer. And you don't need to know about private keys or anything else. That's the importance of that aspect of the ecosystem. What about the merchants? What kind of merchants can we work with? Any size. The small merchants, they can download the merchant application, start accepting V currency payments immediately. And of course, the large retailers who are integrated into the terminals. So for them, all we say is, no new cards for you, Mr. Merchant. No new terminals, no new apps, no new QR codes. All you need to say is, I want to join the VOW ecosystem, and you're on. That's pretty good. That's great, but is that convincing enough for a merchant? We have some fancy new technology. It's good. But if you think that it's enough to have a product, to convince a customer, just look at our fancy new app and it's got really fast transaction, and they go, oh, okay, great. Well, what's our real pitch to the merchant? Mr. Merchant, we have the ability to eliminate up to 100% of your customer loyalty reward expenses if you join VOW. Okay? If you try to sell your product just on technology alone, some early adopters will take it, maybe you'll have some traction, but it isn't enough. You need to remove a pain point. You need to be able to go, this is how I can impact your business positively from a financial perspective now. Okay? And then will have a product that really has a growth, the potential to have a viral growth. Now some of you may ask in the audience, Paul, you're tall, but the air must be really thin up there because that's impossible. It's impossible to give back 100% of the money when a customer comes because the business will go broke. Yeah, you're right. It is impossible, but that is not what is happening. Of course that's impossible. That's a mathematical impossibility, and I would be an idiot if that's what I was saying. That isn't what's happening. What's happening is the merchant is creating new money, a new currency, and that's called V currency. Because what we're doing through this function is we are breaking the monopoly of currency creation and distributing it to nodes, which are the issuers on the network. Okay? And that's the big difference. And now I will effectively explain to you that what I'm about to tell you is decentralized issuance and acceptance with an example. But as I'm going through this example, please remember that VOW is not a loyalty currency. V currencies are not loyalty currencies. This is just the first use case for a very strategically important point in the market that we want to occupy, to get our currency into as many consumers and merchant hands as possible. Okay? That is why we picked this vertical. Well, there's many more, but this is the first use case only for VOW. So VOW is a currency, not a loyalty currency. So how does it work? An example of decentralized issuance and acceptance, and this is a multi-billion-dollar market, loyalties. I'm sure all of you know. This I call this slide now versus VOW. What's happening in the market right now is, if you look on the left-hand side of that slide, let's say there's a merchant and he's selling a $100 item. $100 good, let's say it is, I don't know, a nice dinner for two, a romantic dinner for two, and he's saying I will give you 20%. So whenever someone comes, they pay that merchant $100, and the merchant gives $20 cash back, they lose 20%, so the merchant ends up with $80 in their till. Make sense? And on the next sale, they lose 20% again. On every sale, if they advertise 20%, they lose $20 on a $100 sale. Make sense? Fantastic. Now we say to this merchant, Mr. Merchant, join the VOW ecosystem and experience the difference. What is the difference? I go and buy the same $100 dinner deal for myself and my girlfriend. We go there, and the merchant takes $100 and keeps every penny. What does he do? He effectively distributes 20 V dollars to the customer, creates new V currency. I, as a consumer, before got $20, but now I get 20 V dollars. I'm very happy because I know I can redeem it within the merchant. So the merchant lost zero money on the issuance. Clear. But what about the acceptance? What about the acceptance? Because he has a liability, this merchant, to vow to accept back the V currencies. Now I go and let's go for another dinner, honey. So $80 plus the 20 V dollars, and I buy the $100 dinner from the merchant again. Has the merchant lost anything? In the old system, they would rip up this voucher or coupon and throw it in the garbage, but now it's different. Because this is now new money. The merchant can now take this V currency and spend it anywhere, one-to-one in the ecosystem. Remember, one V dollar is $1. So on the second sale, they've gotten their dollar back because they have created new money. What can they do with it? They can spend it anywhere in the ecosystem. They can reissue it to the next customer. They can send it to somebody, save it. Or they could sell it for real dollars. They could sell it for real dollars. Now let's stop there. I'm going to go to the next slide, but remember, we stopped. I haven't explained to you who they're selling it to. So, this is the $20 voucher that the merchant got back. Okay? Now, what I'm about to describe to you is the decentralized backstop of the entire ecosystem. A second ago, we were talking about all the things that the merchant could do with this $V, send it, whatever, and I said they could sell it. Who can they sell it to? This isn't e-money. This isn't, what do you call it, an official US dollar. Who is buying? There's no VOW central bank for us to cash him out. Who is buying this V dollar if the merchant wants to sell? Because there's no central party to guarantee its value. Well, I'm going to answer this question by asking another question from people here in the audience. If I were to give you a $20 voucher to spend anywhere, in a restaurant, fill up your car, get some groceries, how much would you pay for it? Would you pay $15 for it? Who would pay $15 for 20 worth to spend? Who would pay $16? Do I have $17 for 18? Anybody for $18? Oh, okay, good. Sold for $18. That was a simulated auction. What we have simulated, in fact, is the decentralized backstop of VOW. Right here. How does this work? Effectively, from the perspective of a consumer, I went around with my bank card and I mined VOW into existence. That's my VOW. How much did I pay for it? Nothing. I got it for free. Right? So if I can sell it for $18, I'm up $18. And the people there that put their hands up bought it for $18 and got to spend $20. So I made $18 from nothing and they saved 10%. You understand? This is the decentralized banking, the demand demonstrated for in the secondary market for VOW. So everybody wins, but someone must lose. What happens to the retailer? Let's investigate what happens to the retailer. They sold 2 $100 dinners. Yes? Correct? So, and when they took back the VOW, they sold this VOW to the gentleman in the back for $18. So over $200 worth of spend, they got back $198, they lost $2. Over 201%. Because they're not giving you your cash back, they're not giving you a discount, they're creating a new currency. And this new currency has demand because it has the ability to be exchanged between individuals in a free market way. This is the decentralized backing of V currencies. Make sense? We're not selling anything. We're selling everything. And what is V currency backed by? Self-interest. I don't need to tell somebody to save money, particularly now. And when these V currencies move, remember there's burn, 1.6%, which is guaranteed the destruction of VOW long-term, good for VOW token holders who are effectively holding the decentralized reserve currency of this community money. So, now this last slide, and I'm to explain to you actually the difference between the V economy and the dollar economy. Here on the right-hand side is, within our ecosystem, a VOW is equal to $1. Remember, the merchant and everybody can spend a VOW one-to-one because they vow to accept it as $1, right? Now, but if I need to sell it, I need to go to the other economy, the dollar economy, where if I sell it, I lose because I need to sell it cheaper. So I'm disincentivized to leave the ecosystem, and everybody's always incentivized to enter the ecosystem. Where's the demand coming? Where's more demand? If you have $100 worth of Bitcoin, are you going to spend with your Bitcoin-backed debit card, or are you going to buy V currencies? Because maybe your $110 worth of Bitcoin will value $100 worth of Bitcoin will buy you $110 worth of spend in the ecosystem. Okay? So there's always an incentive to enter, and there's a disincentive to leave. Right? On the left-hand side is where you're buying and selling V currencies, and on the right-hand side is where you're earning and spending them. Now, what I've described to you now is when you will see V currency listed in the market on the exchanges that actually we're negotiating with, and it's in the process of happening, is you will see VOWs 95 cents, 92 cents. There was a very high-profile stable coin where tens of billions of dollars were evaporated due to a death spiral. I'm sure everybody knows who I'm talking about. It was one of the highest profile debacles within the crypto space. And a lot of people were burned. Why? Because there's a central party trying to protect the value of a coin. They were trying to back this asset. And when their stable coin went to 97 cents, fear. Oh my God, I need to protect myself. 95 cents, everyone was running for the doors. By the time it was 80 cents, it was game over. What happens in our ecosystem when V currencies trade below par? This isn't a weakness, it's a strength. This is our strength. Because when the price diverges from parity, it goes to 92 cents, I don't feel fear, I have opportunity. I can buy for 92 cents, $1, I can spend at a retailer because the peg isn't in the market. No amount of money can try to protect. The Bank of England was broken. We all know who did that. It was a very a famous international financier. If government's money can be attacked, what chance does a project have? Doesn't need to be. Right? When the pig moves away, people like you who want to save money go, oh, I can buy a VOW for 92 cents and I can go fill up my car. And that is what is the demand. And that's what this here is reflective of, to demonstrate the power of this entire concept. Okay. So, VOW is an idea whose time has come. Problems of volatility, utility, adoption, scalability, all addressed. Decentralized issuance, acceptance, liquidity, and backstop. All the things that, not together, but plague other projects, off the list. And not only that, but we had the foresight to not try to be something that's incredibly difficult to be, as e-money, stable coins. You don't need that. You just need the function of that, but to be a legal entity that's completely different, to not have to fight that fight. Let someone else fight, and let us grow. And of course, everybody who was involved in building a new currency supply is better off financially. This is why it was monopolized. If you have the ability to press a button and create 100, and you have the only right to do that, of course you would want to protect it. Who wouldn't? But now, we don't want to monopolize that. We want to create a system where it can be done by everybody. And we're positioned, there's no one else like us in the world. So, with all these, I would just wrap up by saying that it was my job to try to help you understand the fundamentals of this model. And it is my opinion that sustainability in anything comes from its utility and its use case, and if that use case is understandable by everybody, that is what will energize the people to be able to create an ocean of the currency. And that's what I hope that we will do together. Ladies and gentlemen, I just need to do my, sorry, it's so lovely, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, I'm very bad with emotions. I grew up with a very, how should I say, Spartan family. So, thank you. I don't know what to do in these situations, but I just want to say my name is Paul, and I vow to change the world.